before I get into that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Inov-8 TerraUltra G260. There's actually a version before this that had a little bit more of this sort of Kevlar material on it, but this is the main one. This is the one that's been out the majority of those last 2 years. So this was a shoe that I really enjoyed. There was a lot to like about this shoe. It's well made. It's more grippy than you perhaps expect it to be. So it can kind of double duty as a fell shoe if the weather's not too sloppy. It certainly works on really rocky terrain. I had a couple of issues with it. One was the laces that I kind of thought were like something off your grandma's dressing gown. The midsole is quite firm, and that was my only kind of concern. Having said that, I ran the Lakeland 50 in these, and that kind of cemented it for me. I really like them. So here they are, the Inov-8 TerraUltra G270. These look really cool. They've kept the zero drop. They've brought in a new type of midsole, which is called PowerFlow Max. Going back to the G260, they didn't have a PowerFlow midsole. They called it Exterior Flow. Definitely more firm, good ground feel, but not quite that pop. Oh, I should say these have done about 250k. Will they do double that? Definitely. Will they do 750, 1000k? Hard to say, but they're looking really just kind of new, wouldn't you say? Straight out of the box, the PowerFlow Max feels kind of more comfortable, probably softer, and I think that's why they've boosted the stack. So they've added 3mm so that the end result is probably similar amounts of ground feel, but with more comfort. Still quite low stack, so still good in terms of not turning ankles. So why G270? I assumed it was because they were 10 grams heavier. That's how Inov-8 name a lot of their shoes. The number is the weight in grams per shoe at a size 8, I think. My G260 here is very dry, slightly dirty. In terms of weight, my UK size 11, 335 grams, the 10 grams heavier new shoe in UK size 11, 310. So this is a lighter shoe. Other obvious differences, more normal lacing. The shape and the volume feel exactly the same to me. I think the other thing worth mentioning is although the shape feels very similar, the outsole is a little bit different. The G270 possibly more aggressive, although I think the depth of the lugs is the same. And the width of the toe box is the same on both. However, the outsole is considerably narrower on the new shoe. So when you line them up, it's, I don't know, maybe 10 millimeters narrower. The tongue is thinner, and the upper in general is kind of cleaner and simplified. So I think we've got all the things that I loved about the first shoe. The graphene, which is holding up really well, the wide toe box, the shape of the toe box as well, with the nice bit of room for your big toe there, well built upper. It's going to be really interesting to see all these little improvements, the possibly slightly more aggressive outsole, narrower outsole, beefed up midsole, the more comfortable midsole. The heel cup feels about the same. I can't wait to try these, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've ran in the Inov-8 TerraUltra G270 quite a few times in the Peak District, lots of different types of terrain, and here is my conclusion. They're brilliant. Okay, so my conclusion needs to be a bit more in depth than that. Why do I like them so much? I've decided it is because they are a Swiss Army knife. Actually, they're a Leatherman, okay? It's better than a Swiss Army knife. They do lots of things and they do them really, really well. So some contouring, some grassy climbs, and some kind of slate, some natural gravel, I guess. And as for this sort of level of mud, I mean, it's just fine. Some sheep, some grass, more sheep. The grip is just there on everything. It even works as a road. So I think that's what Inov-8 tried to do with the G260, is to make a shoe that does lots of things and does them really well. To express why I think the G270 is even better in almost every single way, I've made this chart. So here from roads through to paths and tracks to moors and fells to mountain. And then vertically we've got distance from short races and runs to long ones. So the G260 already looks good on this chart. It's great paths and tracks. It's pretty good moors and fells. It's good in the mountains, and vertically, obviously, it's good. It's an ultra shoe, and it's fairly light, so it's pretty good at short distances. But looking at the G270, it just spreads out this use case even more. It's got a comfier midsole, only slightly, but it just means it's a little bit nicer on the roads, so it's better that way. I think it's lighter. Even if it isn't lighter, it feels a little bit lighter. So coming down to the shorter races works really well. Moving over to rockier mountains, I think the midsole does conform around things and allow the outsole to grip even better. So it spreads the use case that way. And when it comes to really, really long ultras, there's just that little bit more comfort. So I think it spreads upwards too. So we have this kind of area of competence that is just unusually large. It kind of works in all these different areas. So the G270 is not wildly different from the G260. If you like this shoe, you're going to like or love this shoe. If you didn't like this shoe, you're probably not going to like this shoe. There is just generally a feeling of nimbleness that wasn't perhaps there before. The midsole just feels a little bit more lively. They feel lighter, they feel faster. Only a small amount, but they really do. I think they contour slightly better. That could be because there is this narrower outsole. I do think they grip better. It's hard to say because they're quite similar, but the midsole is softer, and I do think that just allows them just to grip around the terrain. So here's my scoring system to determine whether these are peak proof, whether they work for me in the Peak District or you in any mountains or peaks anywhere. So I've got Peak Pretender, not very good, Peak Possibly, Peak Proof, and Peak Perfection. And even though these are the first product that I'm reviewing on this channel, I've got to give them Peak Perfection. Kind of doesn't give me anywhere to go, does it?